Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be another author focused video, and it's going to be all about pitching to book bloggers, kind of like where to find book bloggers, how to contact them, just any information or tips and tricks that I have gathered over the years that I can share with authors. So hopefully if we have some authors out there watching this video, this will be helpful to you. I would love if any authors, if you could comment below with any of your tips and tricks that maybe I don't cover, or if you're a book blogger, please comment below and give your top tips and tricks too, so authors can read it, so we can kind of all be in this together. My credentials, if you are interested, I am a book blogger. That is how I started everything. I started my blog Chick Lit Plus back in 2009. And so that's kind of how I started everything. I am now also an author myself. I'm a publisher, so I'm always looking for new book bloggers to be interested in our books that we're publishing. And then I also do a lot of freelance marketing for authors. I also run CLP Blog Tours, which is a blog tour company. So I work with book bloggers every single day, all day. I'm always working with you guys. So just over the years that I've been doing this, I've kind of gotten a few ideas that I can pass along to authors as well. And then I get so many emails and Facebook messages and just questions. I mean, literally every single day from authors saying, you know, I'm new to this and I'm not quite sure how to go about it. Do you have any advice you could give me? So I thought making this video could be a good idea. So hopefully if I have some authors out there, you find this one helpful. So if you would like to see my pitching to book bloggers video, please keep watching. First thing I want to say is that I actually had planned to film this video tomorrow, so I feel super unprepared today. I just happened to get up very early this morning, and so I've gotten so much of my to-do list done that I was just kind of sitting here this afternoon. I was like, should I be doing something right now? And then I'm like, oh, you know, I can film. We actually have sunshine outside today, so I'm not having to use that annoying flash on my camera. So I was like, okay, I feel like everything's in place. I should probably just get this video filmed, but my hair is doing this thing, and then I'm cold and I really don't want to take off my sweatshirt, so I'm going to keep it on. But yeah, filming a little bit earlier than I expected. So tonight I had on my to-do list to plan out the video and each point that I wanted to hit. So I don't have any notes made for this one. So I just hope I'm not going to be all over the place, because in my mind I was kind of already thinking how I could detail this video out, and then didn't get to finish all those thoughts. So hopefully this won't be too crazy of a video. That's kind of just the first thing that I was going to talk about, is how you actually find book bloggers, because I know a lot of authors, I mean, especially if you're new, but then you're also new to social media. I mean, I can totally understand how overwhelming that must be to just be how do I even find them? How do I find them? And then what do I do next? Is it okay to contact them? I would say one of the best places to start is going to be social media. And by that, I mean, yeah, you can use Google. I mean, just Google book bloggers if you have a specific genre that you're in. I work a lot with chick lit. You just Google chick lit book bloggers and see what pops up. You should get a plethora of websites to choose from. So that's a really good way to do it. But then also focusing on social media, because you can go to Twitter and use a hashtag, just hashtag chicklit, hashtag book bloggers, hashtag book blog, because a lot of times, me, when I'm sending out a tweet and I'm talking about a book reviewed on Chick Lit Plus, I'm using the hashtags book blogger, book blog, book reviewer, you know, those sort of things. I'm using those in my tweets, because then that will also make other people be able to easily find me if they use that hashtag. So even just looking at hashtags are a really good thing. But then also with Twitter, if you find, say you use that hashtag and then you find a blog and you look at the little info and it says, you know, we're a book blogger at chicklitplus.com, you know, etc. There should be a link to their website right in their info bar as well. But then also, if you like that person and you follow them, usually on Twitter it'll pop up maybe you should also follow these people, and then usually it gives you that same it should give you 3 more book blogs to follow. And that's a great way to just start the cycle, start finding more and more book bloggers. If you have Instagram, a really good thing to do. Another one is, of course, the hashtags. But if you find a book blog, you can go in and very easily look at who they follow or who their followers are, and you can very easily go through the list and just start following people. And just a really good thing to do is just to be like active with those people, talk to them, make comments on them, like their posts, try to be engaging on social media. More of an author tip, not necessarily aimed at getting book bloggers, but one thing that I am always recommending to authors is be a real person on social media. Don't just be an author promoting your book. Don't send out 30 tweets a day saying, read my book, read my book, read my book. Be a person, talk about your personal life, show pictures of your dogs or your hamsters or whatever it is that you want to show. Like for me, I try to remember, because I am an author as well, but I try to remember to share pictures of my dogs, share pictures of like my makeup looks because I do beauty, show pictures of my yoga practice. You know, I try to do those things, and then every once in a while flip in there and be like, oh hey, I also published a book, y'all want to read it? Like, here's a review that just came in. But I try not to do that super often because people don't just always want to be sold to. They want to get to know you. And I think especially with how social media is these days, it's really cool because normal people can feel like we're making so many connections with people that we're probably never going to meet. But I remember a day that like Sophie Kinsella tweeted me back about, I was like reading her book, and then she sent me a tweet back, and I was like, incredible thing. And so, you know, people get to do that nowadays with authors, and even people are like bigger YouTubers. We get excited when big YouTubers write back to us, or makeup companies, or celebrities, or athletes, or whoever it is. You know, it really does make your day when you're able to make that one-on-one connection with someone. So that's a big tip that I would give to authors as well. That's a great way to find book bloggers, is just social media. And then of course, I think another big way is like word of mouth. And I mentioned it in, I think it was my writing tips and advice video, but about like joining groups on social media. I belong to a lot of different like Facebook group, not a lot, but like I have 3 main groups that I really focus my attentions in, and we're all authors, and it's just so great. We give each other advice, we give each other support, you know, we ask opinions in these groups, and other authors can chime in, you know, what they think the better book cover is, you know, things like that. So I think these groups are really helpful, but also because it's a good way to form connections with other authors, but then those other authors will probably have a word of mouth. Like the other day in one of the groups, someone was like, hey, can anyone recommend any good chick lit bloggers? And people were chiming in there and saying different blog names. And I mean, that's a really good way, of course, as well, to find bloggers. And then another way that I will say is important is perhaps you know that you don't want to do this part of your book marketing, like you either don't have time, you don't have the resources or something, but you can always hire out to find book bloggers. And a way to do that is by hiring, you know, either like a PR or marketing person or firm or, you know, company, but also for a blog tour company. And I know I've done a full video on blog tours, what they are, why you should book them, what the benefits are, etc. But I will say it again in this video. Blog tours are a really good resource for authors, especially new authors that are just starting out, because essentially you're hiring someone to do that work for you. And usually those blog tour companies, they do charge you a fee, but they are putting together a marketing package for you, and they're using their resources. Like with CLP Blog Tours, I have a very large mailing list of book bloggers, and I know what genres they like. I know if they have e-readers, you know, and I'm the one, I have already made a connection with these book bloggers. They know who I am and they trust me. So when I send out the mailing list, you know, I have a very core group of book bloggers that will sign up for these tours, which sometimes is a little bit easier, especially with a brand new author and you're just cold calling a book blogger basically. You know, they don't know you yet. They're not familiar with your work. So I think it's a little bit easier for a book blogger to say yes to a blog tour company than to maybe someone that they don't know. I'm not saying that you will always get turned down by book bloggers simply because you are new, because that is not true at all. Chicklet Plus is a very busy book blog. We usually do 1 to 2 reviews every single weekday, but we are still constantly saying yes to new authors all the time. we will never turn down someone just because they're new. So that's not what I'm saying, and I'm not trying to scare anybody here by what I just said, but it just sometimes can be a little bit easier because we already have a relationship with the book bloggers. So just to make sure I clarify that point. But the blog tour coordinator is finding the book bloggers, but then they're also doing things like making sure those book bloggers pick a review date. They're putting together a schedule for you. A lot of times we're the ones that are sending out the ebook files to these book bloggers, making sure they got them, making sure they're reading them, sending them reminders. Really big thing that I think with CLP blog tours is that we're also promoting the books and the author on social media. And by that I mean, sorry, I keep like flinging these, I keep flinging those around, sorry. What I mean by that is that on the Chick Lit Plus social media pages, which, I mean, we have a fairly decent following. I think we're getting close to 6,000 on Facebook, and we're probably at close to 6,000 on Twitter as well. We've just recently started the Instagram page, which is getting close to 2,000. And then, of course, here on YouTube, a lot of times I'm mentioning the books that I've hauled and reviewed, and a lot of those are for CLP blog tours. But Chick Lit Plus is also talking about the books that are going on tour, and we're doing a lot of marketing that way. And so, you know, we have a larger following than also perhaps an author who is just starting out and just getting their social media accounts rolling. So that can be a good way to also get your book out there, but then be able to find new followers as well. So even though it does cost money, you know, and packages vary, blog tour companies vary. I mean, I've seen blog tours as cheap as $10. I've seen blog tours as expensive as $1,000. Like, I mean, there's just going to be a range in there. Each company is different. What we do is different. We have different, you know, followings. We have different core genres that we work with, etc. So you too kind of have to do the work to see which blog tour company is going to be the best fit for you. But there are so many out there these days. Like, new ones are popping up all of the time. So there is, you know, always someone that you should be able to find that will meet your best needs, but that can be a really good way to find book bloggers, especially because the blog tour company should then give you, you know, you're going to know who reviewed for you this first time, and you're going to have their names, and you probably should have their emails, but you'll at least have their blog URLs and that sort of thing. So then when you write your second book, you will already have that information. So there's a core group of bloggers that now you can contact, and you can say, hey, thank you for participating in my tour, you know, last year or whatever it was. I'm so excited. I have the follow-up book ready to go. Do you want me to send you a copy, etc. So you're already starting to build up your list, and you were able to do it easily with a blog tour company doing the legwork for you. Those are a few ideas on how you can find your book bloggers. And then sometimes I see authors wondering why they need book bloggers, and I kind of questioned whether I was going to include this part in the video as well, because I guess to me, and you know, it's probably because I've just been around for so long, and that I also am a book blogger, that I'm like, hey, we're super important. How does everyone not know that? That I see being asked. So I'm like, you know, I will mention it just real quick. I feel like book bloggers are very important to authors. One of the biggest things that you want to get for your book is book reviews, and book bloggers are a fantastic way to go about that. A lot of book bloggers understand that it's important not only to put their reviews on their blogs and then also promote it on social media, effectively promoting you and your book. A lot of times we will tag the authors that we are reviewing for and promoting on our blogs. We'll tag you because we want you to repost it too, because we want traffic to our websites. You know, we're all working together in this. Get your reviews on Amazon and Goodreads as well, because you want, when other people visit your book pages, you want to have your reviews come in. You want to look like people have been reading your books, they've been liking it, they want to leave, you know, hopefully positive reviews and that sort of thing. So book bloggers are very aware that authors want reviews on Amazon, Goodreads, you know, Barnes & Noble, etc. So book bloggers are a great way to be able to build up your reviews for that. Again, book bloggers, like I said, are important for the social media because, you know, I don't think it's very common to have a book blog and to not have some sort of have some form of social media tied along with it. We're probably going to have Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, you know, etc. We're going to have these pages. Like Chick Lit Plus has a Pinterest page. I post everything that we put on Chick Lit Plus. It gets pinned to our Pinterest page, and people can find these pins and repin them and see the reviews that we're saying. So book bloggers are probably going to have social media that we're going to be promoting our reviews and posts on. So it's a really good way to get more social media exposure as well. That is why I think book bloggers are important. They're definitely, I mean, they definitely need to be a part of your marketing plan when you are publishing a book, or you're getting your marketing plan together as your book is being like proofread or the covers designer or whatever, and you're doing your marketing plan. I mean, do not forget book bloggers. I feel like this is really obvious in what I'm saying, but don't forget about them because they are going to be a big part of your marketing plan. So I don't know what it is today, but like I am so uncomfortable. Like my legs hurt so bad, and I mean, you obviously can't see me, but like I keep stretching out my legs, and I'm sitting cross-legged, and then I'm getting up, and then I'm sitting on my legs, and then I'm getting up, and then I'm trying to stretch my legs out in all these directions. I don't know what it is, but they're just killing me today. So anyways, you guys probably don't care about what my legs are doing. But then to actually get into how to pitch to book bloggers. Okay, so we've covered why book bloggers are important, how they can be an asset to your marketing plan, and how to find these book bloggers, whether on your own or paying someone else to do it for you. But if you are going to do it yourself, you've decided you're going to find, these book bloggers. Once you find them, one of my biggest suggestions right away is to keep like a spreadsheet of who you contact, because nothing is worse than not keeping any notes and then finding a blog and being like, did I already contact that blog? I don't remember. Of course you want to make notes on if someone said yes, and what review date they said that they're going to post. Also really handy, because then if you're going to use this list again for your next book, you'll have information in there like what format do they take? Do they take a Kindle or an EPUB? Things like that. So my biggest suggestion definitely is organization. Keep that list so keep it handy, because then you'll have those email addresses in there. You'll have items like, whatever items that you think is important to you. Their blog URL, definitely. I've seen authors put in their notes like little things about the book blogger, so that when you go to contact them again, like you almost have something to talk about. And I think that's a really good idea. And this is something that I learned back in business school, because I used to manage a business, and for each client that we had, we would keep a file client for them. But one thing that I would do is I would write something down, like when they came in for a visit and I talked to them and they said, oh, I'm going on a cruise in January. They would leave, I would go in their file, say, had a cruise in January, and then when they came back 6 months later, I could be like, hey, how was your cruise in January? And they're like, oh, how did you remember that? It's like, well, obviously I'm keeping notes on you. But I think that's a really cool thing to do, and I feel like more and more people are doing that these days, because I get those emails a lot. They're like, hey, how's your dog? Or you got married, how was your wedding? Things like that. But I think that's a really cool idea too. So I mean, that's not a must, but I think it's kind of something that could set you apart from others, possibly. Having that organization is key, but then also putting together your media kit, I think, is really important. Really up to you what you want to put in your media kit, but definitely things to go in there is the blurb for your story, the cover, your bio, your photo. If you have an author headshot, I really recommend getting one. It just is something so nice about being able to put a face to a name, honestly. So your headshot, if you have one, if you have your social media links, your website links, I definitely suggest including those in there. Your book is already out, or it's on pre-order or on Goodreads or something like that, and you have any book links that you can put in your media kit, I definitely suggest that. I know sometimes you should definitely be contacting book bloggers, even before publication, so sometimes you won't always have those links because the book is not for sale on Amazon or Goodreads. But one thing that I really suggest is once you have your cover ready to go, maybe you're doing a big cover reveal, your cover is ready and out there, definitely get that book up on Goodreads, because that's not a selling site, so you don't have to worry about, having the final book ready to go or anything like that. But it's really nice to be able to have at least some links so people can see your book page, the cover, and things like that. And then also, if you send out review copies early, if you send out advanced reading copies, then people can already start posting their reviews on there, even though it might not be up on Amazon or Barnes & Noble yet. I also feel like I'm like running out of breath, because when I'm talking about things I'm really passionate about, I talk really fast, and I'm like, remember to breathe, Samantha, remember to breathe. So those are all, really important things to include in your media kit. And then what I do is that I just save it as a file on my computer, on your desktop, whatever it is that you need to be. So you save it so it's ready. I usually write some sort of like opening blurb on there. And this is something that can get changed frequently from blogger to blogger because, you know, if this isn't your first book, maybe you're saying, hi, thank you for reading my book last year. Now I have a new book out and was wondering if you might be interested in it. Or it might say something like, hi, I'm a new author. My genre that I write in is chick lit, and I've noticed your book blog is chick lit plus, so I thought this might be a good fit for you. Like, you want to have some sort of introduction paragraph instead of just sending a media kit out to people. Don't do that. Like, don't do that. You want to introduce yourself, and you want to ask for what you want. You want to say, you know, hey, I'm looking for book reviews. Can I send you a review copy? Or if you're too busy for reviews right now, I can do an interview and send you an excerpt from the book. You want to have some sort of introduction paragraph, definitely. Even if it's a blogger that you've already worked with, you want to have that paragraph in there saying who you are, what you're looking for, what your book is. But then you want to include the media kit in there with you. And this will be nice because you'll already have it all ready to go on your computer. You can just copy and paste, attach the files, and boom, you're done. So instead of every time you're sending a new email, you're like, oh shoot, where's my blurb? Okay, now I need to grab my cover from over here. And oh, yep, here are my links. Like, you will just have everything ready to go. It'll be a big time saver for you. And it's just super handy to have that ready to go when you're sending out your emails. One of the biggest things that I will suggest is to send individual emails versus sending like 10 or 20 or whatever at a time, and just either like CCing or BCCing people. I will say, if you do decide to ignore this piece of advice and you want to group message several people at a time, do it in BCC and not CC, because people are not going to like to see all of their email addresses if you only CC people. That's really annoying. It happens to me a lot, and I'm like, please don't do that. I really recommend doing individualized emails so you can say, hi, Samantha, and mention my name or my blog, Chick Lit Plus. I get so many emails where I've started sharing them more on social media, where I got one the other day and it said, dear, and then in parentheses it said, put blogger's name here or name of book blog if you can't find their name. And then went into the email and I was just like, oh, Nelly. But I get ones a lot that are like, dear blogger, or just, hey. And it's like, okay. It's kind of silly, but it might seem like a silly thing, but every book blog that you find should have a review policy on there. There should be a name of someone somewhere on there. Sometimes people, it is hard to find individual names, and I totally get that because I've seen it before. But then you can put like, hello Chick Lit Plus, or hi Chick Lit Plus team, like, something like that. Because just the form emails, I mean, those don't look very well. So, I mean, that's just a really big piece of advice, is to individualize your emails. And it might seem like it's going to be a lot more time consuming than group messaging people, but I think you will get a better response than if you were to go that route. But again, that's why it's really good to have your media kit ready and to have your paragraph written. And even though you might need to, adjust a few words here and there, you can have that same paragraph with like the first sentence or two changed. Just have that one ready to go too, so you can just copy and paste whichever email it is that you need and have it ready to go in that email so it doesn't take too much time. Another thing that I will definitely recommend is to read the review policies for the book bloggers, especially if they are new to you. Read the review policies, because sometimes the policies will say like, hey, we're closed for reviews right now. It's close to the holidays, or, we need to add more people to our review team. We're just out too far. We're not doing reviews. Because then if you send a review request and you're like, hey, I see it on your blog that, you like chick lit. How about reading my book? And then it's like, well, yeah, but our policy says that we're not open for reviews right now. It's kind of silly. And I mean, book bloggers are in super high demand. I know this. I know this from being a book blogger. I know it from being an author. I know it from being a blog tour coordinator. Book bloggers are in high demand. Usually, a lot of book blogs that I see book probably 2 to 3 months out. Like, if you were to ask right now for a review on Chick Lit Plus, we are out right now until January, and that's like really pushing it. We're trying to get 2 out every single day. You need to be mindful of that, and again, check the review policy because it should be in there. Hey, it can take us up to 3 months to review the book, or we're just out so far we can't review books until 6 months. So in the review policy, they should say, like, do they take ebooks or do they only take print books? I do know some book bloggers that will only take print books. They still, you know, they don't want an e-reader or whatever. They don't want to read ebooks. They only take print books. And some authors, I mean, I'm one of them, I just don't send out print copies anymore. It just isn't smart for me to not only buy a book but then ship a book, because sometimes people say they'll review a book and they don't review a book, and then you just spend $20 to send someone a book and you don't have anything to show for it. And it's a lot easier for us to send ebooks, but some people don't take ebooks. Some people will only take certain genres, so you want to make sure that your genre is going to fit into that blog. Blogs will have different items that they want sent to them. Like some book bloggers I've seen have to, like, they require the Goodreads link to be in your review request. Some request a certain subject heading line, like it has to say review request, title, and author. Sure, you're reading that review policy so that you know you're giving them the information that they need. Because I mean, I know book bloggers that they require you to send, you know, A, B, C, D, but if you only send A, B, C, they just delete the email and they don't even bother getting back to you because you didn't read their review policy that they worked so hard on putting up on their website, so they're just not even going to respond to your email. I do know people like that. Like I said, book bloggers are so busy. I mean, I don't even know how many review requests we get a day for Chick Lit Plus, but I mean, it's multiple review requests we get a day, and so sometimes it is hard to respond to everyone, especially if someone hasn't even bothered to take the time to know your name or your blog name, and they're just like blindly emailing you like, hey blogger, want to review my book? Or I feel like nothing kind of drives me crazier than when literally someone doesn't even say, hi, hello, my name is, this is my book. They literally just copy and paste that media kit into an email and send it off to you. And I'm like, what do you want? Do you want a review? Do you want a feature? What do you want? And so, I mean, I'll delete that email because I seriously, I don't know what you want. So why am I going to have to take my time to respond back to you to be like, what are you asking for? So I would say definitely read that review policy and make sure before you email them that you have all your ducks in a row and you know what you're wanting to say. But then again, a big thing, like I've been saying, is to make sure to ask for what it is you're looking for. Are you looking for early reviews? Because if you want early reviews, you want to make sure that you say your publication date. That's something that is really good to include in your media kit. If you're sending out books prior to publication, you'll want to let people know, like, hey, I'm emailing you in November, but my book is going to come out on January 12th. I'm looking for reviews to run during review week, because that way people will know, they can look at their schedule, they can gauge their reading list. Maybe you're not looking for reviews. Maybe you just want book bloggers to be able to post on their blog that your book has come out. So you want them to be a part of your release week blitz. You want people to be able to say on their blogs, hey, this is a new release. You want them to put it on their social media, this is a new release. And you can say, you know, if you want to, I have review copies available, but really, you know, I just want you for the release week. So that way they know what you're asking for. Maybe you're only looking for interviews for yourself at that time. Make sure you say it in your email, hey, I'm looking for interviews to run on this time frame. Including that time frame is so important because I write back, I mean, this happens every single day that I write back to an email and I'm like, what time frame are you looking for? Because again, our schedules get full so fast that if you just email me and you're like, I'm looking for a review, my first question is, well, when? Because I need to look at our calendar, I need to look at all our reviewer schedules. So make sure you're asking for what it is you're looking for and what time frame you're looking for. If you are looking for reviews, make sure to let people know what review formats you have, because not everyone has a Kindle. Some authors will only publish on Kindle, which is totally fine. And you know, Amazon has their program, KDP Select, that you can only have your book for sale on Kindle. And some authors will just do that. They'll just make a Mobi file and that's all. They just want to get on Amazon and that's fine. But not everyone has a Kindle. So if you only have Kindle copies and then you ask a book blogger to review and they say yes and you send them a Kindle copy and they write back and they're like, well, I have an iPad or I have a Kobo, like I can't read this, then you're like, oh, okay. So make sure if you're asking for a review that you're saying what formats you have. If you are going to send out print copies, you know, be sure to mention that, but make sure to also list if you have any shipping restrictions. Like, yes, I have print copies that I'll send to book bloggers, but only bloggers in, you know, this country, this country, this country. For me, I'm in the US and it's really hard for me to ship to like Australia. It takes a lot of money, it takes a lot of times, and sometimes the books just don't show up. So you've paid money to buy your own book, ship your book, then you paid extra shipping to get it to Australia, and then it gets lost somewhere over the ocean and your book is gone. So make sure you also include that as well. And then another just really big tip I have for when you are sending out these pitch emails is to not include your book in your pitch email. A lot of times, I know a lot of book bloggers, they say it right there in the review policy, like if you just send me a copy of the book without me agreeing to a review, I'll just delete your email. I mean, everyone has their own preferences and their own thing. It's kind of silly to me to just be going ahead. I mean, this is to me as an author, it's silly to me to just be sending my book out to people without them like saying yes or agreeing to review it. Like, I don't know, something about it just kind of like weirds me out, and I wouldn't want to be sending my work just blindly out to people without, you know, like, no, I don't know. I don't know, it's weird to me. On the book blogger side of it, I'm not super like, don't send me your book because I won't even consider it. It's me more on the author side that doesn't like it, but I see a lot of book bloggers that say, you know, if you send that book to me without you know, me agreeing to a review, that they won't even look at your email. So that's something really big, just because I've seen it on so many different blogs that I just want to make sure to mention it. And one last quick thing before I wrap this up is I get asked a lot how to make the files to send to the book bloggers. Like, how do you send a Mobi file for the Kindle? How do you send an EPUB for a Kobo? What I do and how I do it is we have our marching ink books are professionally formatted, not only for a paperback copy, but they're professionally formatted for e-readers. We use Pulgarius formatting, I believe is how you say it. They're a company in Australia. We've used them for the last several marching ink books and I really like them. I can leave a link to them below. If you're an author and you have a formatting company that you really enjoy, please do leave it in the comments so others can see it as well. But basically, I pay them and they give me a PDF file that goes for my paperback, and they give me a Mobi, which is compatible with Kindles, and an EPUB, which is compatible for like Kobos and iPads, I believe, like Apple products, I believe, use the EPUBs. These are the files that I upload directly to Amazon to make my Kindle copy, and I upload the EPUBs directly to like Barnes & Noble and Kobo, but then these are also the files that I send out to the book bloggers. Now, I know that there's probably the formatting companies, or not companies, but like formatting websites that you can use. Like when I create my advanced reading copies, I convert them myself. I won't say I format them because I don't. I literally just Google to convert a Word doc to a PDF file, and then I upload it and then download the PDF file it gives me, because I don't do any formatting. I don't do any HTML coding. I don't make a table of contents so people can easily, like if I'm reading on my Kindle and I somehow get to my home screen and I want to get back to chapter 5, I can just go right to the table of contents, click chapter 5, and boom, it takes me there. I don't do that for my advanced reading copies because they're an ARC, they still need to be proofread. I truly don't recommend trying to do it yourself unless you know what you are doing. But like me, I have no idea how to format a book. I recommend getting it professionally formatted because it is frustrating to read a Kindle and you can tell that the book has not been formatted. Like the text is wonky, there's like weird section breaks here and there. Like that is frustrating. Unless I know I'm reading an ARC, then obviously I don't mind. But if I buy a book on Amazon and it turns out like that and there's no table of contents, that is a really huge thing. I believe it's still a thing where if you buy a book on Amazon and there's no table of contents, you can return it because you have to have that table of contents. That is how it was before, because I actually had, like, I was notified by Amazon, like, hey, your book doesn't have table of contents, you need it. And I was like, wait, what? That was a long time ago when I first started publishing. I really do suggest getting it professionally formatted, because then you'll have your files ready to go for when you actually publish your book, but then you'll also have them for when you're sending them to book bloggers. You should have your Mobi and your EPUB. I mean, I do have a PDF, and some people do ask for PDFs, but I don't prefer to send PDFs. Of course, please don't ever send a Word doc. I say that because I get requests, and, you know, I'll say yes, and I'll say, you know, yeah, I can read a Kindle copy. And they're like, well, I don't have a Kindle copy, but I can send you a doc file. I'm like, no, don't send me your doc file. No. I want to say it just because I've seen it before. But yeah, definitely, I think finding a good formatting company so you can have those files easily accessible would be the way to do it. A .mobi or a .prc is what is compatible for Kindles, and yeah, the .epub is what is compatible with the Kobos and like Apple products as well. Okay, so I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I can say for this video. I'm starting to lose my voice. It's starting to like cut out of me as I'm talking, so I know that I've been talking for a really long time. Other questions, please do leave in the comments below, and I will be really happy to answer them. I really wanted this video to be focused on how to pitch to book bloggers, you know, how to find them, why they're important, what to include in your email, like the little tips, like making sure you read their review policy and address them by name, making sure you create your spreadsheets and your lists so you have that on hand, creating your media kit, blog tour companies that'll do this all for you. You know, I'm trying to think if I've missed anything, but I mean, I'm sure I have, because it's, especially without making notes, it's so hard to be sure I'm hitting everything. But again, please do comment below. Let me know if I've missed anything. Find me on Twitter. I'm super happy to answer any questions. Yeah, I think that's all I can think of to say. And my leg still hurts, so I just had like my leg up here. Hopefully you guys can see it, but maybe you did. That's all I have left to say. I love making these videos because, like how I said I was talking so fast, it's just because I'm so passionate about it. I love what I do. This is my full-time job, being an author, a blogger, a publisher, working in freelance and all these different areas. This is what I do full-time every single day, and I absolutely love it. I'm so grateful that this is what I get to do. But I just want to be able to share what I know with other people, because it's just so helpful. And, you know, when I see these other videos and other authors, you know, talking about, like I was just watching one the other day talking about the different apps they use that help with their writing. And then I join these writing groups, and people will ask a question like, hey, what's a good, what was the one the other day? I think it was about formatting. People were like, who's a good formatter? And then people are listing all these formatting companies. Like, I was going through, even though I'm very happy with my formatter, okay, this is good information to know, and I can pass it along too to other people. Like, it's just so great to be able to have a plethora of information. So that's what I hope this video is helpful for. For an author, if you have any other questions, leave them below. But then if you have your own tips for other authors out there, please leave them below. If you're a book blogger, please do comment. Maybe an author will see this and be able to contact you for, you know, reviews, interviews. Please definitely leave below if you're a book blogger, but also if you have like a tip or a trick or a piece of advice or anything like that, please leave it below so we can all read it together and be more knowledgeable. That is all I have left to say, so I'm going to wrap this video up and go drink a lot of water, because now my voice is like, where are you? But I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys.